In the Lawrence family's courtyard. The courtyard was still bustling with activity. Jean accompanied Thegis to see old Master Lawrence. At that time, all the members of the Locks were there. Octavia was very good at adapting to the situation. When she saw Jean and Thegis, she took the initiative to say with enthusiasm, "Jeannie, our misunderstanding turned into a joke last time. I apologize. You didn't take it to heart, did you?" Jean naturally knew how to act too. She quickly said, "You overstated it, Auntie. These few days, I've also been reflecting on myself. I shouldn't have argued with you like that in public. It was my fault." "Don't say that. I was too emotional at that time. We're all family. The past is in the past." Jennifer played the role of a good person. "In the future, once Jeannie gets married, please take good care of her." "Of course. I'll definitely treat her like my own daughter." Jennifer and Octavia flattered each other very well. The atmosphere in the room was unusually harmonious because of them. After staying in old Master Lawrence's room for a while, everyone returned to the living room and greeted the guests who came and went. At this moment, George also walked into the living room from the outside and walked to Jean's side. Thegis hated George. When he saw George walking over, he did not look too good. Nonetheless, he knew he could not show it at such an occasion. He simply did not take the initiative to pay attention to George. At this moment, in the large living room, a melodious song came from the piano. Everyone looked over. They saw a child sitting playing the grand piano in the hall of the Lawrence family's manor smoothly. That child was none other than Jeremiah, the son of Thegis's brother, Hugh. For a 6-year-old child, Jeremiah was not bad to be able to play at this level. Obviously, everyone in the hall seemed to be amazed by him. The song ended. Jeremiah left the piano and bowed politely. Everyone in the hall applauded. Octavia stood beside Jeremiah and said hurriedly, "My grandson said that he wanted to play a song to wish old Master Lawrence a happy birthday." "Thank you." Alexander quickly went forward and said, "Jeremiah is so thoughtful." Damien also echoed from the side. The others also complimented him. "Damien, your grandson is really capable. He was just making a fool of himself. You're too humble. If my grandson was as capable as yours, I wouldn't have to worry so much." The others kept praising him. Jeremiah was also very proud. At this moment, he was being led by Octavia to Thegis's side. The smug look on his face made his nostrils turn up. Thegis carried his nephew and sneered at Jean. "Your son can never be compared to him. I'd be embarrassed to bring your son out in the future." Jean gave Thegis a sidelong glance. Originally, Jean did not care about these things at all. Seeing Octavia deliberately showing off in front of her, she felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She knew very well that Octavia was doing this to take revenge by showing her magnanimity as George stepped on her gown the last time. Octavia was quite sinister to have schemed this. Jean held George's little hand and walked toward the grand piano. At this moment, Alexander and Damien were still there. Seeing Jean bring George over, Alexander's expression changed slightly. Those who were clever knew that given the relationship between the Lawrences and the Locks at the moment, everyone wanted to compare Jeremiah and George. Jean did not care about Alexander's expression at that moment. She carried George and sat him down on the piano. "Jean," Alexander went forward and stopped her abruptly. "Don't humiliate yourself." Even so, Jean still ignored him. She bent down and whispered into George's ear, "80% will do." George nodded. In the hall, many people looked due to Jean's actions. Many people thought that Jean's illegitimate child was unremarkable and looked silly. They thought that she did not know what was good for her for wanting to compete with the grandson of the Locks. Did this ex-princess think that she had not made enough of a fool out of herself? However, at that moment, when a melodious song came from the piano again, everyone was stunned. George was moving his little fingers on the piano skillfully. Every note seemed to be transformed from his fingertips. Even a layman could tell that the melody was much better than Jeremiah's. It was almost as good as a professional performance. Furthermore, the tune that George played was not on the same level as Jeremiah's. George was completely superior to Jeremiah at this time. Everyone was ready to laugh at George, but they were suddenly stunned. The whole venue was extremely quiet. This went on until the song ended. When the song ended, there was no applause. Perhaps it was because everyone was shocked, or perhaps it was because they were unwilling to admit that this illegitimate child who was looked down upon by everyone was so capable. It was until an applaud was slowly heard coming from the main hall's entrance. The person clapping was the famous fourth Master Swan of Southampton City. Teddy felt the gazes of everyone in the hall, and he was on the verge of collapse. He was on the verge of collapse because of his master. They had just left the Lawrence family's courtyard, yet he was suddenly told to return the way they came. Has Master been possessed? When everyone saw Fourth Master Swan clapping his hands, they hurriedly clapped as well. Alexander came back to his senses at that moment. He glanced at George, then went to the entrance of the hall to welcome Fourth Master Swan. Jean carried George down from the stool. She smiled and said, "I should have just asked you to show half of your skill instead." George raised his head and smiled slightly. Thaddeus strode to Jean's side. Taking advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was on Fourth Master Swan, he said fiercely to Jean, "Why are you doing this? You're deliberately making my nephew look bad, aren't you?" Jean calmly held George's hand. "I just didn't want you to lose face, second young Master Locke." Thaddeus was at a loss for words after hearing what Jean said. "Second young Master Locke, please help yourself. I'll bring George over now." As Jean spoke, she held George's hand and left. She was extremely cold. Thaddeus's expression was unsightly. This woman, Jean, was married once. What right does she have to act so lofty in front of me? Right at that moment, his phone suddenly rang. Thaddeus took a glance, and his eyes flickered. He picked up the phone and quickly walked to the side. "I told you not to call me. Have you gone mad? I miss you. I have something serious to do now. Second young master, every cell in my body misses you. I can't control myself." It was an incredibly coquettish voice. Thaddeus's heart itched when he heard it. When he thought of being treated like this by Jean, he suddenly sneered. Who does Jean think she is? Do I, the second young master of the Locks, lack women? Visit and read more novel to help us update chapter quickly. Thank you so much.